Thank you for joining us for the National Center for Rural Road Safety's May webinar, sneak peek of our Rural Road Safety Awareness Week 2024, co-hosted by the NLTAPA Safety Work Group. My name is Jamie Sullivan, the Director of the National Center for Rural Road Safety. We have just a few logistics for you that we're going to go over first. Today's webinar is back to our normally scheduled 1.5 hours. Closed captioning is available and has been sent out to those of you who needed it, and it is also in the chat pod. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website under ruralsafetycenter.org/webinar-archive within a few days. We are going to ask you if you have any questions for our presenters or need to alert our organizers of any technical difficulties. Please use that question and answer pod over on your right-hand side of your screen. We do have handouts available for download. There are 2 handouts about the match program, which I'm going to go over in just a second, as well as the slides for today. Additionally, if you wouldn't mind filling out our survey at the end of the webinar, we'd love to hear from you on what additional topics that you'd like to hear from the center. And because of the nature of our discussion today, certificates of completion and applications for CEUs will not be available for today's webinar, but they will be available for future webinars. I did want to point out to everyone that there are a few resources that have been newly released by Federal Highway Administration on Safe System Approach. I've got an extra S up there in the title. I apologize for that. But these include the Safe System Alignment Frameworks that are project-based and policy-based, the Safe System Road Design Hierarchy, a Vision Zero Toolkit, and a brand new video called How Do You Know You Have a Strong Road Safety Culture? All of these can be found on their Zero Deaths website, which is linked below. I will also put that in the chat pod once our first presenter begins. And additionally, we are setting up a webinar that will discuss these particular resources for you. So look for that coming out here in the next couple months as well. And FHWA did recently have a webinar on these topics too, and it is available on this same website with this link that we have. Additionally, Federal Highway Administration is still looking for organizations and communities who are interested in participating in the MATCH program, which is Mentoring, Assistance, Training, Communications, Help. It is free technical assistance program provided by the Federal Highway Administration Office of Safety through their local and tribal road safety peers. And it is a way for you to connect with local and tribal jurisdictions who are already doing some of the work that you're looking to do as well. So there is, again, I mentioned we have in the handouts a description of the MATCH program, and then there is also a way for how you can apply if you're interested in participating in that program. You can download those in our handout pod. And next we have 2 presenters for today. Our very first presenter is going to be Kevin Elliott. He is the marketing manager for the National Center for Rural Road Safety. Kevin is a veteran professional communicator who has worked for nearly 9 years in transportation safety communication. In addition to the center, his clients include departments of transportation in Florida, Ohio, and South Dakota, as well as many safety teams in the Federal Highway Administration. He lives in Panama City, Florida with his wife and 12 chickens. And at this time, I'm excited to hand over the presentation to Kevin for the first part.
Very good. Jamie, you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. As soon as I see the magic button to share my screen, I will. There it is. All right. Here we go. Okay. Just to make sure, you see in my title screen, and then we'll be off to the races.
Correct, we are.
Okay, sweet. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming to the sneak peek. This is one of our favorite webinars we do every year because we're like elbow deep in the middle of planning Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. It's one of our favorite things we do, and we like to show you where we are. We're not done, we're not complete, but we have what we think are some fun ideas that you can play with this year, we hope. So without further ado, let me tell you what my chunk of this presentation is, and then Greg is going to give you some practical things that they did in Louisiana last year, which we were very excited about and very happy with. So the first thing is I'm going to provide a preview of this year's Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Obviously, it's right there in the title. We want to inspire you to join with us to do this. We make this stuff, so we hope you will grab it and use it and customize it and spread it out like Johnny Appleseed all around the country. And so we really want you, if you're out there in these rural areas, we're trying to tackle big problems, big, hard, difficult things that are hurting people. And we want to inspire all of us to come together and work on this stuff. So this is just one way. We hope you'll join with us. We have others. And then last, we want to sell ourselves to you. We, the center, National Center for Rural Road Safety. If you don't know who we are, I'm going to explain and tell a little bit about what we do in addition to Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. And so we just want to do a little pitch about who we are and why we hope you'll play along with us. Okay, so first I'll introduce us, then I'll do the overview. Then we have some participation ideas. We have some examples from others that have played along and done really cool creative things. And then the case study, Greg from Louisiana is going to do this really good examples of what they did over there. So the first thing, who the heck are we? Why should you listen to us? Why are we worth doing Rural Road Safety Awareness Week with? So what we do is all rural all the time. That's all we do is rural road safety. It's all we think about. It's all we talk about. It's all we plan for. It's all we do. Because as you probably know, if you're on this call, easily half or just under half of the nation's traffic fatalities every year happen on rural roads. They happen out there in the onesies and twosies, out in the cornfields and the middle of nowheres and those long stretches of great American highway. And it's hard to get our arms around it. So that's our mission. That's our job. Our job is to just think about how we help people out there in those communities save lives. The second one is we focus on locals. So we work with DOTs, we work with feds, we work with trade organizations. Of course, we partner with all of those organizations, but our main audience, our real focus are those local practitioners who are out there every day trying to tackle these problems with very few resources and very few staff, and they're just out there trying their best. And so we try our best to focus on them and give them stuff that will help. To that end, we have lots of resources and technical assistance. If you go to our website, it's full of stuff you can go look at and grab. We do lots and lots of training. We do webinars like this, but ones that are more technical. We do have ones that have CEUs. We try to stay up with what's current and what is most helpful to those local practitioners in rural areas. We're always looking for ideas, but we try to equip the doers, is what we say internally. The people out there doing that work every day in the trenches, we try to equip them and give them, in our little way, help them do their very, very difficult jobs. But we have national connections. So the one thing we can bring to the table that maybe your average local agency can't do is, because we're a national center, we have national view of things and national connections, and we just know people around the country. And so we like to think of ourselves as a collaborator. Like, we bring people together and we share things across. So if you're in Louisiana or North Florida, where I live, which is very rural, or in Montana, and you're like, I don't know how to crack this nut. Well, we might know somebody in Nebraska or Nevada who has cracked that nut, and you would never meet that person, but we try to bring you all together. So basically, this picture of a wheel over here, we are the hub. We try to be like a hub for national rural road safety connections, training, partnerships, and resources. So that's who we are. What we give you, stuff we want you to take advantage of is, as I mentioned, lots of trainings and webinars. We bring FHWA in, we bring trade organizations in, we bring everybody who's working on this. We try to use our connections to bring them to you through training and webinars. We have a nice webinar archive up there that goes back several years. It's on our website, so you can go back and look at all these things. We post them for you to use and make a nice library. Our signature training is called the Road Safety Champion Program, and it is, think of it as a Safety 101 course. So this is not for your advanced traffic safety engineers. This is for people maintenance people, your average public works people, the ones who are out there and don't have specialized safety training. Maybe their job description is not safety, air quotes, safety person, but it matters to them because it matters to all of us. And so we built this course so you can get a 101 basic understanding of roadway safety to make everybody more competent in your area. It's like if you learn CPR. You don't have to be an EMT or a paramedic to learn CPR. It just, learning that one skill makes you better and makes you more helpful to others. And that's what the Road Safety Champion program is. We have a pretty robust social media, so follow us there. We'd love to follow you back. We do a training newsletter about every other week. So subscribe to that, and it's like an aggregator. We find all the cool trainings and things out there for you to use. You don't have to go find them. We will find them for you. We put them in a digest in this email every couple of weeks, and you can just get it in your inbox. We have a newsroom, so we write articles, we put news releases up there, and again, sharing information, trying to be a good hub. And then Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. So without further ado, let's talk about Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Again, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but many of you probably know what this percentage, this number, represents for rural areas. This is the percentage of roadway fatalities in rural areas that are roadway departure crashes. People leaving their lane. They are either going off on the side and either rolling over, hitting a fixed object like a tree or a telephone pole, or they're crossing over the center line on some random 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere, and they're having a head-on collision with the oncoming traffic, which, as we know, is almost always deadly. 66% of fatalities on rural roads are crashes just like this, are just people leaving their lane. And across the country, it's a very large percentage of the deaths across the country. This is a signature problem. Roadway departures are a problem for everybody, everywhere, especially in rural areas. That 66% across the country equates to about 12,000 people every year die. 12,000 people. Somebody will die on a rural road during this webinar. 12,000 people every year are going to run out of their lane in one of these tragically common crashes. We all know this. This one happened a couple months ago, like right down the street from my house. Classic, going too fast, probably looking at her phone or doing something else, ran off to the edge, overcorrected, ran across the lane, ran into a telephone pole head on and died. And that happens every single day. It happens 12,000 times a year. And if you do that math, that basic, this is my non-engineering math. This is as mathy as I get. I'm a liberal arts guy. But if you do that math, that's something like 30 people a day. Every day, year round, die in a particular kind of crash, in just one crash type. That many people die. That's a massive problem. And that is something that if we dedicate ourselves to, we can make a dent in that problem. So and there are people around the country, this graphic I took from FHWA because they have an entire team dedicated just to rural roadway departures. They call them the Forward Team. But we decided, okay, so for Rural Road Safety Awareness Week this year, why don't we jump on that? Why don't we make that it's one of the biggest problems, especially in rural areas. Well, why don't we focus on that for our Rural Road Safety Awareness Week this year? And that's what we're doing. And the overall theme is called Life Between the Lines. Get it? You stay between the edge lines on the road. Life between the lines. If we can keep people, just keep them between those darn edge lines, or on a gravel road or whatever, keep them in their area, so many lives would be saved. So many lives would be saved. And so Life Between the Lines is our theme this year, roadway departures. Our audience are practitioners, and by practitioners, we mean those people out there working in those agencies. It doesn't necessarily mean just engineers. It doesn't just mean planners or public works directors. It's going to be your maintenance crew. It's going to be your the folks that are out there working in the agencies, like your public works, who work in those varied things that public works does, and your local transportation agencies, but they don't have to, these are just the people out there doing that work, the doers, practitioners, but also travelers, the people on the roads. Now, the National Center for Rural Road Safety, our primary audience is not people driving cars or bicyclists or people out there using the roads, though they are an audience. We focus mostly our expertise is on the practitioner side. But for Rural Road Safety Awareness Week, we like to include the travelers because if you know anything about the safe system approach, this is going to take all of us. It's going to take safer roads, safer speeds, safer cars, safer users. You've heard all of this before. Everybody has to jump on board. And so what we wanted to do with this is equip the practitioners, but also maybe inform the travelers, the average people. And this was a big part of our feedback we got last year and the year before, where people out there said, hey, this is great. We love this stuff, but it's a little too focused on the practitioners. We'd love something that we could send out to our public, to our residents in our areas, and educate them on these things. So that's what we're trying to do. And I think the way we're doing it, we hope is going to be a good package for that. Here are our daily topics. We break this down one day during the weekday, of course, one at a time. On Monday, we're going to do an overview of rural roadway departures and just educate people about this. What is a roadway departure? What do we mean by that? How those statistics that I showed you, because I can tell you, I knew before I came into this world, into this industry and started doing this work, I had no idea. Like if you'd have said that to me, what is a roadway departure? I'm like, and how big a problem it is, I would have no idea. And I would imagine most people don't. Most of the communication we see around roadway safety is seatbelt use, speeding, DUI, driving under the influence, distracted driving. Those are the big ones. And there's nothing wrong with that because those are clearly problems. But all of those contribute to roadway departures or make them worse when they do happen, if you don't have your seatbelt on, et cetera. So this is a problem for everybody, which means we're going to try to introduce this idea to everybody. Tuesday is going to be speed and how speed and speeding contribute to roadway departures. Last year, our entire Rural Road Safety Awareness Week was around speeding and speed management, because speed, we like to say, speeding is like inflammation in the body. It's a problem all by itself, but it also makes other problems worse. If we can get people to drive proper speeds, a lot of this problem will go away. Tragically, it's so simple, but so difficult. So we're going to focus on speed and its role in roadway departures on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to focus on sharp curves, because if you know your data in your area, I can predict that in your area, most of your roadway departures are on sharp curves. And sharp is our non-technical term. I'm sorry for the engineers out there. A small radius or radii on a curve is a good term. It's accurate, but it doesn't make great marketing. It's hard to explain it, so we're just going to say sharp. Sharp curves are a big part of this problem. So if you break that data down in most communities around the country, roadway departures are going to be a big part of your rural fatalities, and sharp curves are going to be a big portion of that. So we're going to talk about, and then if you're speeding around that curve, we all get it, right? So we're going to talk about the role of sharp curves and solutions. What can you do in your community to mitigate these problems? Thursday is going to be weather and road conditions. This is going to be more focused at the drivers out there, primarily. Understanding friction, understanding wet pavement, understanding what that does and how that contributes and how it works with speed and, say, sharp curves. How should you react to these? How should you drive differently? Practitioners, how maybe should you deploy countermeasures on your roads to account for these weather and road condition situations? So we're going to talk about that. And then the last one is driving behaviors. This one's focused obviously at the people in their vehicles or primarily driving cars. Behaviors that contribute to roadway departures, and some ways that not only the people driving cars, but practitioners can help mitigate some of these less than desirable behaviors people do in cars. Because a core tenet of the safe system approach is that humans are going to make mistakes. Okay, obviously, we're going to make mistakes, but they should not be fatal mistakes. Humans are going to screw it up. We're going to get out there and do dumb things, and we're going to have lapses, and we may just be sleepy, and who knows what. But we're going to make a mistake one day. But the core premise of all this is like, look, you can make a mistake, and the system, the roadway system, is going to protect you and make sure your mistake is not fatal, because mistakes are inevitable. So that's the overview. That's what we're going to try and do. Every day, we're going to focus on a different aspect in that kaleidoscope of roadway departures, rural roadway departures. Okay, so that's the big idea. That's our big messaging and our big topic. How are we going to communicate that? If you followed along the last few years with Rural Road Safety Awareness Week, we try to have fun with this, because we've learned from our good friends at the Western Transportation Institute, and I'm going to get the name wrong, I always do. It's Jay Otto and the other researchers up there at the Center for Health and Safety Culture and Health. Sorry, Jay, if you're out there, I'm screwing up the name of your organization, but they've done a lot of good research on how to frame messaging around these very heavy issues, right? 12,000 people dying, 30 people a day, et cetera, can get really heavy. And what we know is that in the communication, in my field, in communication and marketing, something called reactance happens. As people get overwhelmed with the problem and they're like, I'm going to stop thinking about this because I can't go through my day thinking about how often somebody's dying on a rural road. So you overwhelm them. So the idea is to focus on positive behaviors and focus on positive culture. And most people don't drive like crazy people. Most people do wear their seatbelt. Most people are conscientious and do buckle up their kids in the back, et cetera, et cetera. So we've learned from Jay and the researchers up there to frame these things in a positive, fun, hopeful way. So what we did, and back in 2022, if you remember this from a couple of years ago, we did movie themes. We were like, okay, what if we did the safe system approach, and we took each aspect of the safe system approach, and we were like, what if each aspect of those was a classic movie genre, like a Western, or a film noir, or a sci-fi, or a Hallmark, rom-com. And so we ran with that, and people really liked it. One they liked especially, and one that we saw people starting to use as their Zoom backgrounds, and they got posters printed and they hang them. I have one behind me, if you could see my thing in my office. They just loved it, and it was the proven safety countermeasures. We turned them into this like a superhero movie. And so this just hit. And as we were talking about our theme this year, we're like, okay, roadway departures, like that was a cool idea. We love that. And we've always played with the idea internally, like, what if those superheroes came out of the shadows? Who would they be? What would they do? So we revisited that this year, and we came up. So the way we're going to do this, and this is the little sneak peek, is we're going to make them into a comic book. We're going to do each of these days, and we're going to make each of the days into a superhero that is themed around that day. And then we've turned them into the Rural Road Safety Squad. And we're going to do this super campy, super nostalgic, like 60s style comic book thing. If you remember, or if you know the sort of Adam West version of Batman, really cheesy, really campy. They use words like splat and plow and kabang, stuff like that. And so we went all the way in on that. Now, you're looking at the sneak peek cover, and you can tell two of those characters are shadowed out. And that's because they're not done yet. This is a sneak peek, so we're still working on this. It's why we wanted to do the sneak peek, because we also thought you could, if you have ideas, right? We have time. We can still work on this, and we'd love to get your ideas on maybe some of what you see here. But this is the idea. So big comic book. I want to make a poster out of this already and hang it on my wall in my office. We're going to do the Rural Road Safety Squad. Let me introduce you to a couple of the characters and tell you how they tie into our daily themes. The first one is called Chevron. You love this? I hope you're smiling, because we're smiling. We love this. So Chevron. Obviously, this is a play on the idea of sharp curves, right? And proven safety countermeasures you can use on sharp curves. And then we're going to have Chevron showing up in these scenarios on sharp curves to help save the day and put in these chevrons and other things like rumble strips or wider edge lines or shoulders, high friction surface treatment, etc. that can help on sharp curves. Another day, like we're thinking roadway conditions, the frictionator. We've had a good time with these names if you can't tell. The frictionator. So this is our road condition person, weather and road condition. We all know friction is a big concern, especially on curves and at intersections where the friction demand is higher. The friction wears out, the pavement polishes. So that's just one thing you can do out there to account for weather and road conditions. But the frictionator is going to talk about other ones. So that's another one we've gotten at least to this level of completion. And then we have two more that are in development. We're still working on these are the ones. So Kinetico. If you know, again, the safe system approach, you know the core strategy is to manage kinetic energy. Manage the kinetic energy of vehicles, and you can keep them from running off the road. You can keep them from hitting people. If they do hit each other or people or whatever, it makes everything less bad. So managing kinetic energy is a huge part of what practitioners can do to make a safer system and to prevent roadway departures. We all know kinetic energy goes up almost exponentially as speed goes up. And if you're speeding around a curve that doesn't have great friction, off you go. And if you're in Montana, you're going off a hill. If you're in Florida, you're going up into the cornfield or something, or maybe hitting a telephone pole or rolling over. So we are working on this character called Kinetico that's going to talk about the role of kinetic energy, especially around speeding. So again, in development, working on it, but open to ideas. And then we're thinking about a kid superhero, and we have no idea what we're going to name him yet, or her, but maybe the Rumbler or Rumble Strip Kid. We've been kicking that around. The word rumble is fun to say, right? Rumbler. We're open to ideas. Literally, we're just like opening. This is where we are on this stuff, and so these are actively in development, and we are having the best time playing with these characters. So we'd love for you to jump in and help us and give us ideas and whatever you have on your mind if you like this idea. So going from here, what we've done is we want to show you what we have planned for not just the characters, but how do we package this messaging? How do we tell these stories? How do we make fun graphics that people are going to want to share and play with but will be effective to communicate these messages? So here's one. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put them in comic strips. This is a sample, again, in process, but this is a sample of a comic with Chevron. And look, he's the first word, drat. My favorite thing ever. He's using the word drat. That car is headed for danger around that sharp curve. And then Chevron's going to swoosh in, put Chevron signs, and crisis avoided, citizen. I love this stuff, as you could probably tell. So this to me is such a great way, or such a fun way to talk about. It opens up all these conversations about why do we need Chevron signs? Why on curves? What's going on in that curve that makes it dangerous? And it can fold in all these conversations, but do it in a positive way that's not shaming people, and it's not, putting this heavy, all this heaviness on them. It introduces these topics. So this is the idea. It's the only one we built so far, and even it is still in process. But you get it, right? We're going for the super classic, very campy comic book style. This will be made into social media posts. This will be made into like posters you can do, or whatever you tell us you need, fact sheets. We can put this artwork in just about anything. We can give you those characters. So if you just want, you want the files of just Chevron and Frictionator and Rumble Strip Kid, and whatever we end up coming with, they're yours. You just tell us, and we will put them on our website, and they'll make them downloadable, and they're there for you to go grab and play with and use and do stuff with. Okay. So our other stuff, that's the core of what we're going to do. But we always, every year, we do things like topic-specific web pages. So we'll have one landing page that has the whole campaign up there in description. And then you'll be able to click into each day /topic, speed, weather, all that stuff. And then there we will gather resources, not just ours, but from around the country that other people have built or used. And we will shamelessly take them and put them on our website and let you have them and promote them. Because we want to be a hub. We want to be a place you can go, and we will do your homework for you. We will find these things, put them in these pages, and they are there for you. So they'll be around these specific topics, and they'll have resources on each one. Grab and go graphics, like I mentioned, and I'm gonna show you some examples of what others have done with our graphics in the past. They're yours. You tell us what you want. I mean, we're gonna make some and put them up there. They will be sized for different social media platforms out of the box. So all you have to do is download the one that says Facebook, stick it on Facebook. Download the one that says Instagram, it goes to Instagram. If you want a poster, whatever you want, we'll put it up there, and it's already sized for you. So all you got to do is grab and go. Proclamations. We have been working for the last few years to get agencies around the country to do an official proclamation for Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Whereas so-and-so, we declared this week, 3rd week of July, Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. But it's got a lot of homework involved, right? You got to write it a certain way. And it's hard to start from scratch on doing a proclamation. So we've done that for you. We have a DIY page, and it's got instructions on there, and it has examples on there, and it has a template that you can just go grab and use. And then your stuff. We just are openly soliciting your cool ideas because we have no illusions that we're the only ones with good ideas. And so we really want to be collaborative. We want your stuff. If you see something cool, if you have a cool idea, just shoot it. There's my email address. We answer our emails. We will get back with you. So please contact us with any good ideas that you have for this or that you've seen elsewhere, or resources for any of those days, because we're always looking for good resources. Okay, so participation ideas. Let's talk through some of the ways that we have seen be successful when other people play along, when other people take our stuff and use it or do completely their own things, but they use Rural Road Safety Awareness Week as a springboard, as a topic, as a focus, and then they do their stuff. So the first one I mentioned was proclamations. We just got a template done. This is it, as you'll see on the page. I think it's uploaded to our website. Like, it literally got approved, I think, yesterday. So this is brand new. This is a new one, and it's a template. Any there in yellow, you just drop your names, the proper names in there. The thing is written for you. It's written in the fancy lawyer like whereas language, and all you have to do is put your names in there and then send it off to the right people, and hopefully get yourself a proclamation and have it, make it official with your mayor or governor or whatever. You'll see this social media post. Kansas, they did this in Kansas. The governor did the proclamation about Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Louisiana, Greg's going to tell you about this. They did that in Louisiana. Super exciting. And so we're looking for people to take this and run with it. As mentioned, we have templates, instructions, examples of other people, and then you send us yours. If you get this done, we'd love to promote you and celebrate you, and because it's hard work. All this can be found on our website, ruralsafetycenter.org/proclamation. It's right there. Go dig it up, go take it, go make one. Next, social media. So there's a couple things you can do on social media. One is share our stuff. We're just going to give it to you. It's free. It's yours. Go grab it and just straight share it. These are some examples from last year of Wisconsin DOT, Douglas County, and they just grabbed our stuff we used last year and they simply shared it. We'll even give you the words to say if you want, but you don't have to. You can just literally take our stuff and share it. We hope you do. So that's one option to make it super easy for the public information folks out there. Second is to make your own stuff. Now, this is our favorite. We love watching to see what people do with this every year. You can do things like Maryland Insurance did, and they took our graphic and then they put it on their branding, which we think is super cool. You can do like St. Associates just did their own and took our logo and stuck it on there. What Speed got to do with it? That was our that was our theme. You can use this to promote other stuff you have. We love this, right? Use Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. So the Mississippi DOT had these maps that they wanted to promote, and so they used Rural Road Safety Awareness Week to promote their other products. Awesome. We love it. We love a shameless marketing partnership. So go for it. And then Louisiana, who we loved, and I hope I don't step on any of Greg's stuff, because man, they did some super cool stuff last year. Different organizations at LSU and in Louisiana. So they walked people around neighborhoods to show them, almost like a little road safety audit for amateurs, just to go out there and see what the problems are. And then my favorite thing ever is these ladies in the bottom right are a walking club called the Golden Girls. Is that the best thing ever? They're called the Golden Girls. And so they highlighted the Golden Girls and the importance of speeding, of managing speed, especially on rural roads, because people are out there walking and trying to live their lives, and the roads are for all users. And so get out there, caution, Golden Girls walking. Love this. Now, if you do stuff like this and you want to make your own and you want to highlight everything, we love it, we love it, we love it. We have one favor to ask, and that is that you just use our hashtag. Hashtag RRSAW 2024. This is from last year, of course, so it's 2023. Rural Road Safety Awareness Week 2024. RRSAW 2024. What that does is, of course, lets us go back and find your stuff so we can reshare it, we can celebrate it, but it also lets people find each other. So it's if you don't know anything about hashtags, think of hashtags as a bookmark or an index. It's a way you can search that hashtag, and then you can see everybody who's used it. You see their posts. It's a way to gather information in the massive stream of social media. So it's important, please, that you use that, and that way we're all doing our own things, but we're also on the same page, and we have that unified hashtag. So those are our ideas. Like, that's what we have planned. What are your ideas, citizens? We want to just give us your stuff. Tell us what's on your mind. If you have anything awesome, if you've seen other things, we will straight go copy people. Shameless, we are. But we want to get the message out there because this is a big deal. It is a big deal for all of us, for our kids, for our parents, for everybody driving on these rural roads. I'm tired of watching people die in our neighborhoods, and I know you are too. And so this is what we're going to dig into this year. That's why we want to all share our stuff. Our stuff is yours. If you don't mind, share your stuff with us, and we will happily give you credit. We will happily celebrate you, and let's see if we can make a dent in this. And then please reach out to us. We wouldn't be any kind of hub at all if we didn't communicate with people. So we do our very best to keep up with emails. Our info email, you saw my email just underneath it. There's our website. There are our social handles on the three that we are on. And you can find us at any of those. We monitor all those channels, and we do our very best to respond to you. And with that, I'm gonna stop for a second and see if there are any questions for me or comments or searing social commentary before we transition to Greg.
We do have a few. And so anyone else who has questions, please put those in the Q&A pod, and I'll ask those to Kevin right now. Our very first one was that these are really fun images, and when is Rural Road Safety Awareness Week? And thank you for making it easier on cities. So that first question, Rural Road Safety Awareness Week is always held the third week in July, and this year that falls on July 15th through the 19th. The next question for you, though, Kevin, is when will these resources be available on the website that you talked about?
First of all, thank you, citizen out there who asked for the dates. It seems like the most obvious thing. That's a classic communication fail right there. So thank you, Jamie, for answering that one. Second, they're going to be on there as quick as we can get those suckers done. You can see where we are. We're in process. We have 2 of our characters that are basically complete and approved. As you can imagine, because we are an FHWA Center for Excellence, we have several layers of approvals, and just because people want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And so this is the 3rd week of July is when this happens. So we would love to have those up there to you somewhere in the middle, latest June is our goal. And that way you can start grabbing them and have time to play with them and, do whatever you want with them before that 3rd week of July. That's our target. We're going to try our best.
We also have a few different thoughts or suggestions on the superheroes themselves. An idea to make another one of the superheroes female, so there's not just one of the 4 female. Some ideas with naming them the little kid safety. Another idea is to make the kid figure a female and call her the guardian for occupant protection, behavioral interventions, put the phone down, don't drink and drive. So I'll capture all of these, Kevin, and we'll bring them back to your team for some suggestions. We also had some others on the Curve comic and some very detailed pieces about possibly putting in a curve warning sign. So there are lots of great comments here on that. So we'll bring all of those back. And then another one is whether or not we have considered unexpected wildlife or range cattle in the roadway as a contributing factor to lane departures.
Good one. Good one. So, by the way, these are all good ones. Isn't it fun to make comic book characters? This is the best. To the larger question of women versus male characters, absolutely. We're talking through, and also body types and sizes, and just all those things we're playing with are part of our discussion. So that's probably, so we're back and forth on that as best we can. So that's a very good insight. Animal strikes, what a good one. And so I'm wondering, we can play with that and see if we can, I don't know, maybe make a comic story of it, because it's such a common problem and a big contributor in rural areas. People trying to avoid wildlife. Or, yeah, that's a good one. That's a very good one. So we are capturing all this. That's a very good one, and we need to probably look into that. Captain Caltrans, I see you out there. I wonder where you are. But I tell you what, Caltrans, that'd be cool if you all did a version of this, and there was one of your superheroes as Captain Caltrans. That'd be kind of rad.
So at this point, Kevin, that is all of the questions that we have for you for right now. Okay. And so right now we're going to move to Greg and hear a little bit about what they did last year, so you all have some examples of what you could possibly do as well with this information that we're going to provide to you. So Greg is the Public Information Officer for the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. He has served in that role in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for a year. Formerly, he worked as a content strategist at an ad agency and as the editor-in-chief of 3 Louisiana newspapers. He is also the author of 2 books, The Mayor of Mardi Gras, a memoir, and Dream of Writing an original screenplay. He lives in Baton Rouge with his wife and his 2 stepchildren, and we're excited to have him with us today.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Can you guys see my screen?
We can, and we can hear you great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I mean, as Jamie said, I am Greg Fisher. I work as the Public Information Officer for the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, and we deal with behavioral traffic safety issues in Louisiana. So last year, you know, I began in my current role in January of 2023, and so I had only been around for a few months when I started to receive emails from the Rural Road Safety Center, and I, you know, just by chance started looking at them, and so I noticed here, you know, our participation last year in Rural Road Safety Awareness Week involved a few basic steps, but chance, I would say, it was one of them. We, around this time, around June, May last year, we we started to think about more tribal outreach in Louisiana. And so, so myself and our police traffic services coordinator, Terry Schutz, and Shanita Vasquez, who is our diversity outreach coordinator, we kind of went rogue in June, and we went to Native American Day at the Capitol. And we decided, well, let's go do some outreach. So we brought some camera equipment, and we found some of the local Native American chiefs to interview and talk to about traffic safety issues in their communities. And we actually made a wonderful video of this with our interviews and some of the cultural activities that they were participating in at the Capitol that day, and it is up on our YouTube page. And so when we got back from that activity, doing that outreach, I noticed that the National Center for Rural Road Safety was going to be, hosting a rural and tribal assistance program webinar, and so I signed up just to say, hey, well, let me see what this is all about. And I think this is where I'll jump into to what we did. From there, I think the next email that I got from them was about Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. And, Louisiana is full of rural communities. We have two mid-size cities, I would say, in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. We also have Lafayette, Lake Charles, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria. The rest of the state is by large rural, so I thought this has got to be important, right? And so I attended this same webinar last year and heard Kevin talk about strategies, and I thought, this might be something that we want to look into. So I, just out of curiosity, I went to my supervisors and I said, hey, is this something that we might want to participate in? And they said, yeah, why not? This is a good deal. So, I wrote here that, if you're sitting there and you are in a media relations position at your state highway safety office, or you work for a smaller group at a municipality or in a county somewhere, or even if you're sitting there in a Louisiana parish as an official, that we have many issues that we have to address in our role. But the good thing I found about this one was that the material was given to us. I mean, you just saw Kevin's presentation. I mean, it was just that simple for us to say yes and for us to put it on our agenda. So here's a look at what we did. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We used, here is a picture all the way to the left is a picture from a cell phone of our Twitter page, our X page now, forgive me. And that's kind of what it looks like. I mean, we took the script and we added the link back to the National Center for Rural Road Safety site for those resources. We used their graphics, which I thought were fantastic, and I didn't think we really needed to modify. We posted them there to Twitter, also to Instagram. There in the middle of the page, you can see a little snippet of our press release that we put out to the state, on our statewide mailing list. That goes to media, that goes to government officials, that goes, the legislature. It probably goes to police chiefs, municipalities. And so it's a big list. And then you see our Facebook page also. I mean, we shared it on all of our social media channels. And then all the way to the right, just like Kevin said, that Kansas did. I don't know how many other states did this, but we decided, I said, let's get a proclamation. And our executive director, Lisa Freeman, she loved that idea, and she said, yeah, go get it, Greg. So so we used that proclamation idea as well. Did I mention it was so easy to do this? You can see there at the bottom of my screen, that's a snippet from the site, from the National Center Rural Road Safety site. And, we just took those graphics and those web pages with that information, and we shared it all week, Monday through Friday. You can see that we got some likes and some comments, and so social media was set up fairly easily then. Now I mentioned our proclamation, so we went to the governor. I don't know how it is in your area or in your state, but for us, our governor has a website, and we can make proclamation requests through a easy portal on their website. And so I had just done one of these for Secure Your Load for Road Safety Day. And so I was very familiar, and I said, I can use the, I have the link there to the proclamation example that's provided for everyone, but you can't just use that. And so at this point, it got kind of interesting and fun for me, because to be honest, I'd never had much of a reason to dig into our state data regarding rural areas versus urban areas. And I was very pleased to find that our Center for Analytics and Traffic Safety at Louisiana State University, that stores all of our statewide traffic data, they keep track of urban and rural fatal crashes, crashes involving alcohol, etc. And so I started to dig into that stuff. And so I used probably half of what was given to me by the Rural Safety Center, and then half of the proclamation I decided to write to tailor to Louisiana's needs. So what did we learn from the data? Rural road safety is an issue in our state. Unfortunately, we had 548 fatal crashes in rural Louisiana in 2021, which was the data we were using in 2023. You're all probably familiar with that process. That was the latest data that we had that had been, official, made official by the feds, and that's a big number. It was actually, we found it was more than a 12% increase from 2020, and it was the highest number of crash fatalities in rural Louisiana since 2008. We had data available to look at that went back that far, and so I went ahead and looked at it. Moreover, we found that 61% of Louisiana's alcohol-related fatal crashes in 2021 were in rural areas. So just to give you an idea, that's about 62% of our fatal crashes are occurring in our rural areas. What did I do with that data other than the proclamation? Well, we got the proclamation, but now you have to spread the news about the proclamation. So we went ahead and wrote a press release. And we included that data here, and we sent it off. This was off the script. I mean, we have a marketing and communications plan that details just about every step of the way through the year, what month, what dates we're going to release, what press releases. We know when the NHTSA campaigns are, and it's very organized. But this was a little off script. Luckily, we had some room, and so again, it was a really great departure for this month. And looky there, we sent it out and we got response. We got some earned media back. You know, lucky me, I got called by a radio guy named Jeff Palermo in the state, and he said, Greg, I want you to talk to me about these rural statistics. This is some eye-opening stuff. And the Louisiana Radio Network is kind of a neat deal. We have it. They broadcast to several radio stations across the state, so they're like a hub for news, and they also broadcast online and share their work. As you can see, a couple of the rural parish journals, the Madison Parish Journal and the Point Coupee Reporter, they published our press release word for word, and so we know that people in those areas at least saw what we were saying and saw that we were paying attention. You know, this is more evidence of how we know it worked. I mean, other than the earned media that we received, when we did our annual report of all of our press releases for 2023, if you look at the top listing there, you can see that the unique open percentage for the Rural Roads press release was the highest of any of them all year. And maybe it's just because our stakeholders are used to seeing these other ones, you know, year after year, and so maybe some of it's, I don't know, old news to them or something, but you can see that this piqued people's interest because it was something that we don't always talk about and definitely don't talk about enough. You know, I'd say it was probably in the top 3 or 4 performing press releases as far as people paying attention that we put out there all year long, and so that's a big win. You know, did it help? I mean, did it stir? You know, did it help as far as behavioral traffic safety goes? That's difficult to say. What I can tell you is that in 2022 we found we had 18 fewer crashes, fatal crashes in rural areas. 2023. The number fell quite a bit. It's not final yet, but it looks like it fell from 548 to 477, which is still a high number. I mean, there's plenty of work to do, but it looks like any fall, I don't know, I say any falling statistic like that is progress. So the number is still more than half of our total crash fatalities. You know, what we learned is that 68% of our fatal crashes involving alcohol occurred in rural areas. So, I mean, and this is during holiday periods. So, you know, people don't just celebrate Mardi Gras, for instance, in New Orleans. People celebrate it across the state in their own cultures and their own ways. And so we need to make sure that our messaging for those things is reaching our rural areas. And, you know, I looked yesterday and it looks like the percentage of alcohol-related crashes in our rural areas is still rising. And it looks like 71% of those fatal crashes in 2023 occurred in rural areas. So that is what we are learning. Just a few more things before I go. You know, one thing to note is that we often get TV coverage for earned media, but we did not last year for this event, and I think I can say that maybe it was just because of my rookie status and I was kind of new. Now I have a few more contacts, and so who knows? Maybe this year we can put a story out there on television, which would reach more people, obviously. You know, the television reporters, they like some sort of a demonstration. They like when a public information officer calls them up and says, hey, I've got something to show you, more than I've got something to say to you. That, you know, but you know, just it works really well on the radio. So like we got that radio play that went over really well. well, a small challenge for us here in Louisiana is that our state highway safety office is not a part of our DOT. So our Department of Transportation and Development messaging sometimes gets disjointed with our messaging. And our theory here in the office is just that every little bit helps move the needle. And so even if we do move in a silo from our state DOT, we're still making progress. And so that's how we look at it. And I made a note saying that I encourage the National Center for Rural Road Safety to please reach out to our LTAP. That's our local technical assistance program. If you haven't already, you guys may have a partnership with them already. But again, they're part of our DOT, and I'm not directly related to them in my position. But that is where our rural municipalities go to receive their training and their road safety information. But yeah, I think that just about does it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I put links up here to our social media and our address, and you can just take a screenshot of my phone numbers and stuff if you want to reach out. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Greg. And we do have at least one or two questions that have come in for you so far. The first is, are you doing a sustainable media campaign for rural road safety with this?
A sustainable media campaign, I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean. What I might want to add is that I think it would help for us to at some point include this messaging into a paid media campaign. I know that with paid media we can reach hundreds, if not thousands, of more people. And so, but if that's what you mean by sustained, we have not done that yet. But I will say that I mentioned our police traffic services coordinator earlier. He approached me during the week that we were running the social media and that we put out the press release and stuff, and he said, "Man, Greg, I didn't even know these guys were around, the National Center for Rural Road Safety." And so I'm forwarding this website to the police chiefs, that I deal with across the state, so that they can kind of get a look at these resources available to them and stuff. And so, that's another look at how I know we made some progress last year.
And then a question that came in for both of you. So Greg, if you'll answer it first, and then maybe Kevin, if you have some thoughts on this too, but are there any pre or post surveys that you all have done to evaluate the effectiveness of media campaigns like this one?
We have not. Other than the open rate, for the press release, the participation that we had on social media, and just the direct feedback, how I know, that the earned media was put out there and stuff. I don't have any survey data.
Same here. We track the analytics and all this stuff. So in other words, it's not proof that it's driving down crashes, which is a problem that's endemic in any time you're dealing with roadway safety. Is you put these communications out there, you do all this work, and then you have to wait for several years to see if the numbers come down. And then if they do, can you attribute it to that one campaign or to that one effort? Chances are no. It's a combination of everything. So like Greg, we track the analytics on this, any numbers that we can digitally, also anecdotally, the qualitative stuff, like people sharing our stuff, or these stories like Greg just said, hey, these people had never heard of us, and all of a sudden they saw it and they shared it. So and we don't have the permissions may be the wrong word. We don't have the infrastructure or the kind of parameters to do like the traditional focus group or surveys before and after. Just given our parameters working inside the government sphere, you have to be careful about surveys and how we administer them and stuff like that. So unfortunately, we haven't been able to play around with stuff like that.
Well, that is all of the questions that we have right now. I do want to thank both of you for speaking today and for talking about our sneak peek for this year, as well as some of the pieces that have happened before. Again, I do want to remind everyone that the proclamation example is already up on the website. You can download again that link out of the handouts that are in the handout pod on the right-hand side of your screen. That will allow you to go ahead and customize that already and get started working on that proclamation if it's something that you would like to participate in this year. As Kevin mentioned, the web pages that we'll put together and the rest of the characters will be coming soon. And I do want to remind you as well that if you have done a lot of rural roadway departure work in your state, your local agency, multidisciplinary, multimodal, please let us know at info@ruralsafetycenter.org. We would love to go ahead and share that, as Kevin mentioned. So again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you to Greg and Kevin for that great presentation. We look forward to Rural Road Safety Awareness Week in July 15th through the 19th. Have a great day.